Have you ever met someone who always shows up for others, smiling, encouraging, lifting the room, yet you wonder, who's there for them? Let me tell you a story. It's about a boy named Rudra. From the outside, Rudra was the light in every room. Always helping, always laughing, always making life easier for everyone around him. At school, he was the kid who helped classmates with their homework. In his neighborhood, he volunteered at events and took care of the elderly. He was the one people called when they needed something. And without hesitation, he always said yes. To the world, Rudra seemed like the happiest person alive. But what most people didn't know was that behind that bright smile, was silence. A silence filled with pain, exhaustion, and a quiet question he never dared to ask out loud: would anyone show up for me the way I show up for them? You see, there's a truth that many of us forget: sometimes, the ones who smile the most are carrying the heaviest burdens. They're not trying to deceive anyone, they just don't want to burden others with their pain. And Rudra was that kind of person. The giver. The one who made life easier for everyone, except himself. But life has a way of revealing the truth. The real story of Rudra isn't just about kindness, it's about what happens when that kindness is never returned. When someone who always gives, is left completely alone when they need someone the most. And maybe, just maybe, you've been there too. In today's video, I want to take you through Rudra's journey. Because it's not just his story, it's a mirror for so many of us who've been the strong one for far too long. So stay with me. What you'll hear next might change the way you view yourself, and how you let others treat you. Rudra was the kind of person everyone loved having around. He lit up every room he walked into. Always laughing, always cracking a joke, always ready to help, even if it meant putting his own needs aside. At school, he was the glue that held his friends together. The kind of guy who would give you his notes, cheer you up before an exam, and still show up with a smile when life was hard. He made it look easy. Effortless. And when he got into college, nothing changed. If anything, the crowd around him got bigger. He was always organizing something, lifting others up, showing up for people who didn't even ask. It seemed like his energy never ran out. But what no one saw was that Rudra was running on empty. Because the more he gave to the world, the less he had left for himself. It all came crashing down the day he fell seriously ill. Hospitalized. Weak. Alone. And for the first time in his life, he wasn't the one giving, he was the one in need. He waited for someone, anyone, to call. To visit. To say, I'm here. But no one came. Not a single friend. Not a single text. He stared at his phone, refreshing it over and over, hoping it was just delayed, hoping someone cared the way he always had. That's when it hit him. The love he gave so freely had never been returned in the same way. What he thought was connection, was conditional. What he gave from the heart, others had received without gratitude, without depth. Have you ever been there? Have you ever realized you were showing up for people who would never do the same for you? That hospital bed became Rudra's mirror. And in that stillness, he saw the truth. He had been everyone's light. But no one had been his. What comes next is the part no one talks about. What happens after the heartbreak? After the silence? After the realization that being everything to everyone can cost you yourself? Let's talk about that in the next chapter of Rudra's story. Some storms don't destroy you. They reveal the truth you've been avoiding. After Rudra left the hospital, something in him had shifted. Not with a bang, but in silence. A quiet decision that changed everything. He was still kind. Still helpful. Still warm. But now, he expected nothing in return. No more waiting on texts. No more checking who noticed. No more bending over backward hoping to feel seen. Rudra had realized something many of us learn the hard way. Life is a solo journey. If someone walks beside you, it's a blessing. If they don't, you keep walking. And so, that's what he did. He turned inward. He stopped chasing people and started chasing himself. He poured his energy into something he had once put on the back burner, his writing. At first, it was just journaling. A way to process the pain. But over time, those words grew into stories. Stories that touched hearts. Stories that spoke the truth so many were afraid to say out loud. One day, Rudra's book went viral. Readers from around the world wrote to him. "Your words helped me find myself again. Your story reminded me I matter." And when someone asked Rudra how he found the strength to rise after being abandoned, he smiled and said, "I used to think everyone else was the most important part of my life. But the truth is, the most important person in my life is me. That's not selfish. That's survival. That's healing." You see, Rudra didn't stop caring, he just stopped shrinking for people who couldn't see his worth. And that, right there, is where everything changed. When you stop needing people to complete you, you become whole. When you stop expecting applause, your passion gets louder. And when you finally stand by yourself, you realize you were never truly alone, you were just ignoring the one person who mattered most, you. In the next part of this journey, we'll explore what happens when you live not to be accepted, but to be aligned, with your truth, your dreams, and your peace. There comes a moment when you stop asking, "Why did they leave?" and start asking, "Why did I keep holding on?" That's where Rudra was. After everything he had been through, the silence, the loneliness, the realization that he had always been giving without receiving, he stopped caring about what others thought. Not in a bitter way. Not to push people away. But because he finally understood, his peace mattered more than their opinion. He began to love himself the way he had once loved others, completely, selflessly, without conditions. No more begging for presents. No more mourning who walked away. No more confusing pain with connection. And maybe you felt that too, that aching temptation to chase someone who clearly isn't choosing you. To explain yourself. To prove your worth. But here's the truth Rudra discovered. Anyone who truly loves you will never make you feel like you're hard to love. That truth set him free. He started telling others what he had once needed to hear. Stop living only for people who wouldn't even notice if you disappeared. Stop sacrificing your dreams for those who wouldn't clap when they come true. Your happiness isn't anyone else's job, it's yours. And that shift, it changed everything. Rudra began to rebuild, not by adding more people to his life, but by subtracting the expectations. He no longer ran after relationships that hurt. He no longer gave his peace away just to feel accepted. Because he realized, you don't heal by holding on, you heal by letting go. Yes, life still had its lonely moments. But he stopped seeing solitude as a punishment. He saw it as space, a sacred space, to grow, to rest, to reconnect with the one person who would never leave, himself. In the next part of this story, we'll explore what that kind of healing creates. Not just self-love, but a life built on self-respect. Because once you stop shrinking to fit someone else's story, you finally start writing your own. So here's the truth, my friend. You can spend your whole life trying to be liked. Trying to win people over. Trying to fix, prove, explain, hoping someone will finally see you. But at the end of the day, the person who needs to see you most, is you. That's what Rudra finally realized. And maybe, deep down, it's what you've always known too. When you stop chasing validation, something incredible happens. You get your energy back. You stop running in circles around people who wouldn't lift a finger for you. And instead, you start building a life that feels good from the inside, not one that just looks good on the outside. So let me ask you. When was the last time you prioritized your peace? Your health? Your joy? Your dreams? Because the truth is, happiness isn't something someone else gives you. It's something you reclaim, when you stop giving your power away. The people who hurt you. They don't deserve your focus. The ones who left without warning. They don't deserve your pause. Your time, your energy, your heart, belongs to your healing. Start there. Get busy with what lights you up. Work on your goals. Fall in love with your quiet. And trust this. The more you invest in your own well-being, the less power anyone has to disturb it. Because emotional freedom doesn't come from revenge. It comes from release. And in that space of release, your peace becomes louder than their chaos. Your stillness becomes your power. So if this story touched something in you, if you felt seen, or even just a little lighter, don't keep that to yourself. Hit the subscribe button. Because this channel is about more than just healing. It's about becoming the version of yourself that no one can take away. And we're just getting started.